Player development is a year-round process, but it's also an in-season process. This is the best time to develop players, in season. Everyone loves to keep getting better. There's nothing better for a student to feel that they are learning something. The eagerness of a player going home at the high school and college level and say, I just learned something new. I'm getting better. Those are great words for a parent to hear. They're also really encouraging things for the student to achieve. Hey, welcome to another Coaching You podcast with the Coach Brendan Suhr, presented by our friends at Noah Basketball. This is the start of the year, the new year. Everyone's wishing you a new year. Everyone's, hey, what resolutions do you have? Anything new for the year? As a coach, I think I live in a 365-day, 7/24, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, I'm always on, okay? But one of the things I like to do with my team is something that John Gordon taught me years ago. He has a great book out called One Word. And the thing, he doesn't believe in New Year's resolutions, neither do I. They never seem to work. But one word is like a focus. So a great exercise for yourself, your coaching staff, and more importantly, your players, is to let each of them sit down. It's a great team building exercise. And to sit down this week with them takes 10 minutes, and sit down and say, pick out one word and one word only that you want to think about every day to make you a better player, to make you perform better. And that just doesn't mean on the court. It could be as a coach, it could be as, better in your personal life, better with your family if you're married and have kids. It could be the way you are better to your players and staff members, or just better at, and that's the thing. And over the years that I've done this, probably almost 10 years, I think, John and I were talking about it 2 days ago, is that every year you come up with a different word. And years ago, I shared with John that I take my words and I keep them all, and I add them up cumulative over years. The words that I have, if you put them all together over 6, 7, 8 years, my God, it really helps you become better. It's not like you use one word for a year and you forget about it and you never work on that again. So I've had words like believe. I have words like focus. One year it was finish because I would start a lot of projects, never finished them. It doesn't matter. It's a personal word. And another time it was toughness. Whatever word that applies to you. And then your players have words. So if you have 12 or 15 players on a team, you have 12 or 15 possibly different words. You can really go to the sporting goods store, buy one of those nice balls that have some white panels on them that you use for autographs, and we would put in our one word on the ball. And sometimes, as a college coach, I would take that ball with us on every road trip, have it in the locker room for home games. And because that's what we stood for, that's where our standards were. It was fantastic. And because each one of us had something, it's one word that helps you be better. And someone asked me the other day, and I think wasn't meant to be funny, I had to fill out an application for a credit card. God knows I need more credit cards now. And I had to bring it to the local bank because that's who was giving me the credit card. And they have on the application your profession. What is your occupation? Not who do I work for, not what company I work for, but what is my occupation? And I thought about it, and I wrote down help people. And the lady looks at the thing and she says, that's not an occupation. She said, what do you do for a living? I said, I help people. And she could not get past it. And she said, are you an accountant? Are you this or that? No, I said, no, I help people. And as a coach, that's what you're doing. You help people. So all of us that are in this, it's like, it's like Zach has this fantastic pastor of this church that he goes to, who's the best of all time. And, and that's what he does. He helps people. He gives a great sermon on Sunday, but he helps people. And that's what you're in the business of. You're helping your players get to a place where they can't take themselves. But in essence, it's that simple. 2 words, we help people. So today, what I'm going to do is try to help you with tips that I've gotten through over the years, things I've learned, and I'm still on a journey of learning and of what we can do better. Okay, so I trust me, try the 1 word. It is one of the things that you'll come back and you'll write me a text and you'll say, I loved it. That was great. I also met someone the other day and he said to me, one of the biggest problems we're having in coaching right now is the players receiving the way we're coaching them. And I said, explain more. He said, players have 3 questions for coaches. Not that they learned in a book. These are very organic. I said, okay, what are they? They ask 3 questions to themselves. 1, can I trust you? Wow. 2, are you committed to excellence as a coach? And 3, do you care about me? And I thought about it. I had never heard it framed like that. And I started to answer the person and said, well, let me give you the answers. And they said, no. I don't want to hear what you want to say to me verbally. You can only show the player through your actions. That really took me and put me on my heels. And I said, coaches do give a lot of lip service, but it's the way you do it. You say, I can trust you, but then all of a sudden you tell them we're going to practice for an hour and you go 2.5 hours. Or you tell them you care about them, you yell and scream and verbally abuse them. You tell them you're committed to excellence, but, you really don't work at it yourself. So here's some things I want you to think about. Show up early, keep your word, and hold yourself to the standard. That's trust. Number 2, don't tolerate players going through the motions. Address it immediately. That's a commitment to excellence. And 3, invest time. Give encouragement. Remember what matters most. That's care. So when you're finished with this podcast, replay it again. Write those things down. But don't tell me the verbal answers. Show me through your actions. I'm telling you, it's going to make a world of difference. World of difference. Noah Basketball is our new presenting sponsor of our Coaching You podcast. Noah Basketball is a shot tracking and data company that has helped change how coaches and players perfect the game's most important skill, shooting. Noah is a data service provider that uses machine learning and the latest computer vision technology to provide real-time data and feedback to improve shooting accuracy and consistency for professional and amateur basketball players. Noah has now analyzed over 570 million shots from countless high school, hundreds of college teams, and 28 NBA franchises. The technology is simply amazing. Once the system has been installed, players will be able to get immediate feedback on their shooting arc, left and right positioning, depth, makes or misses, and makes the data available to players and coaches on your mobile device. For more information about how Noah can help your team, visit noahbasketball.com. All right, so every team, college, pro, you're in high school, you're in what we call conference or league play, usually after the first of the year. And so I wanted to give you some things that I've found over the years that have helped me, some things that I didn't do a good job of, or some things that Zach and I work with college and NBA coaches as clients. It doesn't matter. NBA, the highest of the high college coaches, different teams, same problems. And I guarantee it comes down to you and you say, high school coach, I got the same problem. That's why we're doing this. So you have to treat when you get to league play, whether you play 12 games in your league, you play 20 games or 24 games, 18 games, it doesn't matter. Treat each game as a one-game season. Biggest college seasons started off this week. One team that we work with, the coach lost the first game, close game, and immediately panic mode. With players, with staff, with himself. You can't panic after one game. How do you handle adversity? We talk about, you talk about as your, guiding principles as a coach that we're going to be mentally tough, we're going to be resilient, we're going to be all these things, we're going to be disciplined, and then you can't handle one loss. Our friend Trevor Moad, the great sports mental strengths coach, used to say, you have to understand, have a neutral mindset. You can't get too high after a win, too low after a loss. So you have to mentally understand and have your staff understand how we're going to handle winning. Because the disease of me and complacency can set in when you win a lot of games. I'm laughing now because I was listening on NBA radio this morning and everyone's talking about what's wrong with Oklahoma City Thunder. My God, they lost 2 games in a row. What's wrong with them? They're 6-6 in their last 12 games after being 24-1. What is wrong with them? Maybe nothing. Their schedule in the first 25 games was the easiest in the NBA. Then all of a sudden they played the San Antonio Spurs 3 games in 11 days. Scheduling sometimes happens, okay? Injuries happen. Missed shots happen. Made shots for the other team happen, okay? Scheduling beats you sometimes. But how are we going to handle winning and losing? So important. Here's some other coaching things. Other observations I'm making. The body language of the coaching staff, especially the head coach, is so important. When your players make a bad play, they miss a shot, the body language of a coach can't be throwing your arms up, disgust, temper tantrum like a 5-year-old. Okay. You got to be poised under pressure. I watch elite coaches. I watch how they perform. Some of the most elite coaches, record-wise, don't do a good job in that. They're great when they're winning, but God forbid when things don't go right. The referees are not the problem in every game that you lose. Okay? So you have to adopt as one of your standards for your team and yourself, no excuses. There can't be any excuses why we win or lose. I mean, especially when we lose. If you have excuses, then you're never going to get to correct things. So body language is number one. And I always say I learned this a long time ago. You have a decision as a coach. You can either coach, referee, or play the game. That's what I always used to tell our players. Pick one of the 3. But if you're a player, you can't be a referee or a coach. If you're a coach, you can't be a referee or a player. Okay? So if you're coaching, don't referee. Let them ref. Focus on coaching. Because if you start refereeing, you do a poor job in coaching. Don't let your players get involved with the referees. They will model your behavior. So if they see that you're bitching at the officials on every play, guess what they do? They do the same. How do you react when your players make mistakes? Are you one that rolls your eyes, throws your arms up, screams and yells at the player? I don't know about you. I'm a little sensitive. I don't respond well when you scream and yell at me when I make a mistake. I usually know when I make a mistake. I just move to the next play, as Alan Stein taught us. Do I have positive energy as a coach? That's what's got to come through, positive energy. How do I make substitutions and when do I make them? There's a coach that we work with that the guy will not go to his bench. 20-point lead, 25-point lead. He won't barely use his bench, puts him in the last minute of the game. All of a sudden, the player gets hurt. He's now got to use that player. The guy's not ready. He hasn't played. He hasn't had any reps. So make sure that your players are ready. Mix them in with your first team in case of foul trouble, in case of injury, in case just the players getting tired, that they're used to playing with them. Substitutions and confidence in them is so important. The confidence that you must give your players. One of the great lessons of all time was Coach K once told me when we worked together. He said, the most important 4 letters I have in coaching is I tell my players all the time, I believe in you. That is so powerful to a young person, that you believe in them. Guess what? It works all the way up through the NBA. What do I do with my practices now during the season? Do I go light? Do I practice hard? How long do I go? You have to judge your team by that. But my thing is, you have to, number one, you have to keep them prepared and ready to play every game. So I believe in practicing virtually every day. At the high school and college level, you have to give them off 1 day a week. But with the conferences playing either on Tuesdays or Wednesdays and then Saturdays or Thursdays, Sundays, if you're a women's college coach, NBA, you play 7 days every 14 days, 7 games every 14 days. You don't have a lot of days off. But the only time in the NBA I really give my players off if we have 2 games in a row. We play back to back, then I give them a day off. Okay? But if we play a day, off a day, play again, I like to get them in the gym for 1 hour. And I had this conversation because in the NBA, we're up to about 35 games now of the season, which is, a whole season for high school and college players. But the reason I want them in the gym is not to run them and stuff like that. I want them in the gym so I can touch them. Number one, I can talk to them. If we lost the game, I can now talk to the guy. And my talks to players might be 30 seconds, 1 minute. But I like to have it, what I call verbally touch them. The other thing is the players that don't get a lot of reps, this is a time when I can use them to practice and have a practice with them, and the other guys don't participate. Now it allows them to develop. But why would I not develop the players that aren't getting a chance to play just for the sake of resting my 3 or 4 or 5 starters that are playing a lot of minutes? The other thing I like to do is I always say football is the best teacher for basketball coaches. And one of the things that football has taught me is the use of a walkthrough. Walkthroughs are so important in football coaching at the pro and college level. And you can teach your entire game just through walkthroughs. No contact, no running. If you watch the NFL, where they play on Sunday and they play on Thursday night games, they walk through on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. That's it. They walk through. No pads, no nothing. But this is when you can install your game plan. You can now keep teaching. I think one of the biggest things, and one of the things I want to emphasize to you is during the season, do not stop teaching. It's so, so important that you keep teaching offensively and defensively. A scheme might hurt you. A press or a certain kind of trapping defense on pick and rolls might hurt you in the last game. we can now walk through and teach what we do. A team might spring a zone on us that we hadn't worked much on. We can go through the zone offensive movements of it and walk through it so that everyone understands it. That is coaching. That is so darn important. Another part is really important is constant player development throughout the season. Player development is a year-round process, but it's also an in-season process. This is the best time to develop players in season. Your best players as well as your substitute players. Everyone loves to keep getting better. There's nothing better for a student to feel that they're learning something. The eagerness of a player going home at the high school and college level and say, I just learned something new. I'm getting better. Those are great words for a parent to hear. They're also really encouraging things for the student to achieve. So I can't emphasize enough, player development is so important. And that's every aspect of the game. I'm not talking about just shooting. I'm not talking about offensive moves. Player development has to happen in every area. Ball handling, passing, cutting, moving without the ball, showing them things team defensively. Player development can be in one-on-one situations, 2-on-2, 3-on-3, as well as 5-on-5. So player development is that. The player develops and gets better. Think of it for our high school teachers and coaches that it's almost like the kid or the college coach, someone having a tutor in a certain subject that they're not that strong in. They want to achieve better in it. That's what this is. I look at player development just like having a personal tutor and a personal coach. So I think it's really important. Coaches ask me, what do we do for conditioning during the season? So important. One of the things you don't want is for your conditioning to go down once the season starts. So one of the things that we try to do, depending on how many minutes you play during the game, high school is a 32-minute game, college is 40, NBA is 48 minutes. Figure out a number that applies to your level. And if a high school player, I'm just going to use this, plays less than 16 minutes as an example, less than 20 minutes, then we want them to work to get up to 32 minutes. So if a player plays 8 minutes, then 24 minutes of conditioning I want them to have the next day. And that way they're going to maintain what others are doing. It's really important. It's not punishment. That's the key thing. You're telling your players, this is to make sure you're ready. This is to make sure you're in prime condition. This is not at all punishment. I'm the one that didn't have you play the minutes, so I want to make sure you don't get behind. Again, it's part of player development. And for those players that are playing a lot of minutes, there's things that you can do to help them get through sore muscles and pain and things like that, even at the high school and college level with, whether it be hot tubs, cold tubs, or whatever. There's now teams at college, high school level that are doing yoga once a week. Whatever it is, do things to help the players so they're not putting wear and tear sometimes on their legs. Riding a bike, stationary bike is really important. Things like that. And the last thing I wanted to talk to you about was your scouts. How do we prepare for games? I think this is so. Belichick used to say, and I love this, they say that he was the best at preparing his teams. He had a week to do it. He's so smart. But he made the statement, I don't teach them everything I know about our opponent. I teach our players what they need to know to win the game. And I think that's important. Just give them enough that they know what it's going to take to beat the opponent that they're playing. And I think, therefore, they walk away with confidence. How long are we going to be on the floor? What is being on the floor going to look like? Are we going to scrimmage on our off days? If we play in high school Tuesdays and Fridays, on Wednesday or Thursday, Are we going to, yeah, I believe in, you've heard me talk about it, my controlled scrimmaging of 2 basket games. I believe in doing that from anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes during the season per day because it keeps our team sharp. It teaches them to value the ball. It teaches every phase of the game. But yet I'm not tiring my players out. So develop a system that helps you do it. And I know it's proof of concept, as people always say. This is proof of concept of 35 years of doing it at a very high level at all different kinds of teams. Okay, not just world championship teams. And it works. But yeah, it's a system. The players then believe in it. And that's the most important thing. And great players, very good players, demand to be coached. But make sure you're coaching them. You're not punishing them. And that is the most important thing. Coaching is teaching. Parallel, great words. Coaching is teaching. And that's what we have to continue to do. So I think those are some of the things that I like to, talk about and make sure that we're doing. Remember, the last thing I'm going to talk to you about, and I'm seeing this at the levels that Zach and I work with teams. I'm going to remind you about these. There's 9 traits to really make you an outstanding coach, the highest level of coaching. And I please write these down. Number 1, you must have courage as a coach, especially in your leadership. You must lead with courage. Number 2, competency. You must have complete knowledge of everything that you're teaching, because whether the players are high school, college, or pro, if you don't know what you're doing, they can see through it. So you have to. And if you don't know something, you better have someone on your staff that does. Let them teach it. But if you don't have competency in an area, it would be like I always take it to the classroom. If you're teaching math and you're teaching geometry or algebra, I'd get an F there every day. I have no clue how to teach it. I'm not very good at learning it. Okay? So my competency is 0. Okay? And the kids in that class, if they were 9th grade, Algebra 1, would see right through it that this guy has no clue. He might be able to coach basketball. He don't know what the hell he's doing in teaching algebra. Competency is absolutely your credibility. Your credibility can come as a high school, college, or pro coach by your ability to work with people, that players understand how good you are. As an assistant coach, make sure you get every rep you can in practice, in scrimmages, in the summer leagues, at camps, so that you get coaching practice. If you're having a scrimmage in practice, coach one of the teams. Get reps. Credibility is important. When you have credibility, your players believe in you. Being connected to your players, the relationship you have with them is incredible. Maybe number 1 nowadays, the ability to connect to players. And we talked about before, you have to have that trust with your players. They have to believe and trust in you. You have to have integrity. You have to be an honest person that if you tell them something, it's going to happen. You have to love your players unconditionally. You have to understand that the job of a coach is that of a servant leader. I serve my players. As an NBA coach, if I was going to work at the high school level today, I am a servant leader to those high school kids. That is what our job is. And then the last one, of course, is caring for them. You really have to care about these people. Don't worry about yourself. Worry about them. Same thing as a parent. Any parent that's worried more about themselves than they are about their children, not a good parent. You worry about your children first. Same thing in coaching. So those are some things that when Zach and I planned these podcasts, we thought would be really great for you at the beginning of the year. I want you to go to our show notes for the podcast. And on there, there's two things I want you to do. One is, since the beginning of December, Zach has put out these incredible plays of the day, which are an accumulation of some of the best plays we see in the world of basketball at the college and professional level. And we put it in every day. You get a video of that play that he's putting out, as well as diagram of the play, explanation of it. I mean, my playbook now, in the last 35 days of that, incredible. Incredible. All we want you to do is go to the show notes and show you how to opt into it so you get it free of charge. Incredible resource for you to continually learn. Coaching you means that. We are coaching you to get better. That's all. And then the other one was, if you don't have our app, our Coaching You Plus app, you just missed out on our Christmas special. Incredible opportunity for you to get it at an incredible rate once a year. But go to the show notes and get it on a monthly or yearly basis. It'll be one of the best small investments you've ever made in your life. And you don't have to fill out the application and tell what your occupation is, because you help people like I do, and you help kids. So sign up for that in the show notes. Get our Coaching You Plus app. And then, till next week, this is the coach, Brendan Suhr.